Good evening. Good evening, people. Welcome to another session on Out of the Box series. Hi, Coco the One. Thank you for joining. Good afternoon, good evening, Adeyinka Daniel. Thanks for joining. You're welcome. Another session of Out of the Box series. Today we're going to be talking about the scale behind sales. We had one session yesterday with Joseph Edgar at the Duke of Shomolu, who has his background in investment banking, has gone into theater to express some of his values through satire mode. Some of his ideals and his philosophies he shared yesterday. So we're moving on to the next phase. What sort of personalities, what sort of skill, what sort of philosophy do you need to be able to ideate and create a space or create value to be able to sell or to be able to make a sale, you know, in a period like this? I have today one of the most phenomenal human beings and phenomenal gentleman in the industry, in the media industry, Adebola Lagos. He's going to be taking us through a lot of his ideas and what has brought him thus far. He's somebody that is quite known, who's quite popular, and he has done quite a bit, even at his very young age, might I add. Without further ado, I'm going to join him online so that we can start the conversation as soon as possible. So Mr. Adebola Wiliiams at Adebola Lagos is a media entrepreneur. He's a political strategist, consultant, and thought leader. Welcome, Mr. Adebola Wiliiams.
Hi, good to see you. Good evening.
Thank you so much for being
Did you
right
cut your
on
hair
time.
from the last time we saw?
Yes, it's been, well, I think it was sometime in December, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been 6 months.
Yeah.
You look younger and more beautiful and vibrant.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. A thorough gentleman through and through you are. I was just telling the audience about it. We're very excited. I have a lot of people who have sent me private messages to say Adebola Wiliiams session is the one I want to listen to. So there's a lot of airing audience, and you know, let's get right into it. So I just introduced you, media entrepreneur, political strategist, consultant, and thought leader. And let me quickly chip it in. If I had to interrogate the thought leader, allow me to say that you have actually expressed that value even through the process of booking this session review. You know,
Really?
that every step that you take that is purposeful and deliberate. You know, if I may just share a little bit of what we have been through or what we have gone through before this period, just to help people understand, you know, some of the things that work behind the curtain and help us to shape who we are. So I did an e-flyer and I picked a photo, and I think it was an old photo of you because you looked a lot more younger. And I thought it would be good because I had a lot of the other people, the other speakers wearing English. And so I picked that one and you looked younger. And then you sent me a message and said, no, that's not me anymore. You know, and I said, okay, send me a photo that will be preferable for me to use. And you sent one that we have been seeing you in this attire over and over, which makes me to believe this is deliberate and this is for a purpose. So can I ask, why did you change that outlook? Why have you stuck to this outlook? Let's start with that.
I've always been big on knowing who I am. I've always been big on identity and culture. There is this common proverb that says, if a man does not know where he's come from, he cannot know where he's going. And that's why it's important that we must teach history. We must teach our children who their fathers were. We must teach our daughters who their mothers were. The strength of women like them. I saw a heart-wrenching documentary today where they asked some black kids to pick between a white doll and a black doll, which one was more beautiful, which one was kinder, which one was a better one, which one they would like to be like, and they kept choosing the white doll. And that is because for the longest time, we have been told certain things about white and certain things about black. They asked the girl, which one is the ugly doll? And she pointed to the black doll. Because for the longest time, we have been told many negative things around black. And I've always wanted to carry my culture and my identity. I've always believed in the power of who I am. And in 2013, I think, I decided, in 2010, when I was going to go on Twitter, or 2009, when I was going to go on Twitter, I was caught between, should it be Adebola Surulere or Adebola Lagos? Because I wanted to be associated. I was going on a global platform, a platform that connects me to the world, but I wanted to carry my identity as a Nigerian. And in 2013, when I realized that I started giving speeches around the world, I thought I wanted to go to those places and be seen as my true self, in my full identity and glory of a Nigerian, of an African. I wanted to climb those stages. I wanted to go to those meetings. I wanted to be my best self everywhere I went. And I wanted to do that with the identity of a Nigerian. So that when they speak about Nigerians around the world and they speak about one hush puppy here, 6 Nigerians there, and so on and so forth, they can also find other Nigerians like Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, who is always, wearing an African attire, her head's in her bead, in full identity. When they see me anywhere in the world, from speaking to Obama, to speaking at the World Trade Organization, to speaking to the European Union, I do not want them to say, oh, he's African American, he's British Caribbean. No, it's Nigerian. I am from that place where you hear about the princes that write emails, just that we are true princes, but in different forms. And so this prince has come with intellectual capacity and value for your society. And that is one of the stereotypes that you must place my people in. Do not just place them in the stereotype of thieving and internet fraud and shortcuts and so on and so forth. And that was the beginning of the journey of how I am, of my outlook. And then it evolved, into, it metamorphosed into my company colors. The group company is called Red. I thought, hang on, why don't I, wear a red cap? And I began, but then the cap, was red, and if I wore black, it was a bit loud. If I wore a navy blue, I liked it, but it was just loud. But I thought the white was subtle, pristine, sophisticated, and simple at the same time. And our colors are, red, white, and black. Anyway, so that was how I began the journey. And, when they say, why they carry that matter for head? I tell people, I say, I literally carry my company on my head, and I advise you to do the same. Stop envying people on social media. Stop comparing your lives to other people. So spending time on, useless conversations. Pointing fingers at government when you are not doing anything to solve the problems. Let us all carry the things that concern us on.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yes. Thank you so much for that. Towards the tail end, I couldn't pick out, but I think I got the whole idea of the identity and how you embraced it and the rationale behind the identity. And I must say it is profound. It is really profound. And I'd like to ask a little bit more about that, but you know, it's just one of the branch out of what I noticed as you came on. So you are a lot of people are really showing you love here.
I
My
see
media
Ayiri, my
entrepreneur,
dear sister. I
yeah.
see Lazy Kofa,
Hi, Ayiri.
Atimishe, and
Yes.
many more. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
Teda, I see you. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming on.
Thank you, Ayiri. Thank you. Also, did you at any point delve into theater? Because I thought that you did one or two things in that area.
I
What
began
sort
my
of
journey. I began my journey trying to use theater as a tool to change my society. When I was younger, I thought that the media, I thought that the films and acting gave me an opportunity to imbibe the kind of values I wanted to imbibe in young people and in the society at large. You must remember that earlier when Nollywood started, a lot of the movies were based on, teaching the society about morals. And I
Yes.
thought that was a platform for me to use to be able to do the same, because I was very passionate about, helping people become their best self, helping people become
Yes.
all that they want to be, that they've not yet become, and making people happy. I always wanted to make people happy. It was a burden for me to see people sad. And so I thought that acting was the path to that. And so I began trying to act. I was in drama, group in school, and I moved into stage. I mean, I remember as far back as 1999 was when I had my first major stage play. This was 21 years ago, or 1999. Yeah, that was the year President Olusegun Obasanjo became president, and we presented a play at the National Theatre called Oke Langbodo. Presented a play for him, which was tied around democracy taking over from the military rule. And I acted in that play, and I won the award for Best Upcoming Actor in that play. And I tried to continue acting. I wanted to move to television, but it was almost impossible. I didn't make luck with that. I went from audition to audition, location to location. I would be the only teenager that will appear at an audition. Every other teenager will go there with their parents, with their uncles. I'll be there by myself. The days of Alex Lopez, Tony Umays, Teko Benson, Zebejiro, Sonny McDonald. Those were the days when I was trying to act, which was 21 years, over 2 decades ago. And when that didn't work, I realized that, I basically just needed an audience, and I needed a platform that could reach, mass audiences. So I thought, hang on, why don't I use the media? And so I moved from trying to be an actor to trying to get on television, to trying to be a TV presenter. So I began by going to live shows. I was going to be audience in Inside Out with Agatha, Need On with Fumi, and all those shows, to be around the media. And that's something important in trying to build your business, trying to build anything. You must go to that space, the space where your dreams are. It's like a soil where you plant yourself and you begin to grow. You begin to be nourished. You begin to see other trees, other flowers, and begin to be inspired. I wasn't staying at my home trying to be an actor. When acting didn't work, at first I was going to the auditions. I wasn't waiting for someone to take me. When that didn't work, I wanted to be in the media. I started going to media spaces. It's like when before Cobhams owned the studio, Cobhams used to sleep on the floor of other people's studios. He used to clean their studios for them. And today he owns one of the best studios in Africa. And so that's what you must live where you are and plant yourself near enough to your dreams. And from there, I moved on to being a presenter on NTA Youth Talk. It was a midnight show where, you almost thought nobody watched it. But what was important? What was important was I had built a relationship at that time with a lady on my street who I intentionally built a relationship with. I built a friendship with her. She had a TV show called Economy Watch. And I wanted to be on the show. I wanted to present the show. And so I kept in touch with her. I would serve her. I would help her. I would do all I can to be her friend, to support her, to sow into her, to build emotional goodwill. But she never gave me the show to present, even though that was what I was asking her for. But guess what happened? The moment I had planted myself near enough to my dreams, I finally was able to root myself in NTA, and I got the gig on the Youth Talk show. The moment I started sprouting in the show, The woman I had been chasing for over a year to give me a show saw me, and I was no longer the seed. I had become a little tree. And she thought, okay, hang on, there's potential in this tree. Let me take it and plant it in my own space as well. So she moved me and gave me a bigger platform. And then the rest is history. That was the journey. And then from there, I had Nigeria International. I had several other platforms that came my way, as either as a presenter or as a producer. But for every role I got, whichever of the role I got, I always made sure that there was a Adebola factor in there. So for example, when I was doing Nigeria International, I was a producer. But the way I handled the content of the show, the celebrities that I got on the show, you would.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, great. I'm not sure if it was your connection or my connection. And so, for everywhere I went, I brought myself in full, and I always put a touch. I remember when I was producing the show Nigeria International, I think I was about 19 at the time. I think the show was airing in Nigeria, in the UK, and in the US. And it was just myself and the owner of the show, the visionary behind the show. The two of us were the producers, directors. He was the director, cameraman, editor. And I remember that when we finished each edition of the show, the studio was then in Iyanopaja. And when we finished the edition, the show will be airing at 7. We'll finish editing at about 2 or 4 o'clock because it was just the two of us. And I would get on the bike. I'll get on the bike from Iyanopaja to Victoria Island to get the show into the studio in time. And I did it. I did it with all the joy in my heart. I did it with all the love. And that's why when we were trying to build our own platform, and we needed to build from ground up, we were not afraid. We were not ashamed. We did not even flinch because we have been used to building from ground up. We had gained experience. And that's why when I hire young people, when I work with young people, I have high demands of them. Because many things I know today, nobody showed me. I just took initiative. I just was courageous. And I always talk to them about courage, about taking initiative, about when you get a job as a management trainee, you don't have to behave like a management trainee. That's not how to go. You must behave like a full-time staff. You must be as committed. You must be like a manager. You must have all the skills. That's the only way to grow. When people see you, remember I said, when the woman saw me on NTA, she then gave me a presenting job on her show. Guess what the name of her show was? Economy Watch. It was it was a show on the economy. I was about 17 at this time. I didn't know jack about the economy. I remember I would wear my suit from Yaba, my second-hand suit from Yaba, and I would manage to keep the little beards that could come out of my chin, to look older. But she only gave me that gig because she saw me perform on a smaller gig. And that's why one of the favorite quotes I've shared several times in my life is that when you are at the backstage, do not be ashamed, do not be worried about being at the backstage. What you should be afraid of, what you should be concerned about is when the curtains open and you're not ready. Every time you're at the backstage, do not be ashamed, do not be afraid. Giving your best, giving your all. Because the curtains are going to open at some point. The question is, when the curtains open, will you be ready? Will you be able to give your best? And then the second part of that quote is that for every stage you get on now, it's the rehearsal of the next stage you're going to. So if you stand before a president today, it's the rehearsal because very soon you're going to stand before 3 presidents at once. And they're going to stand before 10 presidents at once. They're going to stand in a room full of leaders across board. So you must always do your best in everything that you have in your hands now, because it's the rehearsal of what will give you the recommendation or the credibility for you to be invited somewhere else.
So I hear that you must be dedicated. I hear that you must have dignity in the labor that you're running. I hear that you must enjoy your little beginnings when you start. I hear that you must be ready to be an apprentice before you become the master. I hear that. I hear that all of the steps that you took to where you, before you started the Red Media, the Red for Africa, it was all pre-planned. It was all purposeful. It was all set. You had purpose and rationale behind each and every step that you took. That is correct?
We didn't see the full staircase, but we saw a vision. And then we chose to take the first step, and then the second step. And then you would meet challenges, and then you would fight and surpass them, and you go to the next one. You know, but we never saw the full plan. We never saw the full picture. We had our own plan, but the plans never go the way you expect them to go. Life will always throw you curveballs. I remember the first edition of the Future Awards. At 11 o'clock, the door was shut because we were owing the balance. When the door was eventually opened, the decor was poor because there was maybe a misunderstanding or something between the person decorating and the support that they were giving to the platform. We had to start looking for chair covers and table covers at about 1 o'clock. As at 2 o'clock, we were sweeping the hall by ourselves. By 3 o'clock, our MCs for the day cancelled. Not one, the two of them cancelled. So the MCs that anchored the first edition of the Future Awards, we selected them at 5 p.m. that day as they walked into the hall. We said, you're going to do this for us, please, we beg of you. So you make plans, but as an entrepreneur, when you're bootstrapping, people will cancel on you. Don't take offense. Don't be angry. It's just a process in life. For every seed that goes into the ground, it needs manure to grow. When people cancel on you, when people disappoint you, when people, you know, do not do you well, it's like manure. They basically put shit on you. And what is shit? What is cow dung? What is feces? It's manure. It helps the seed grow. And so those moments are moments that toughened me and made me also think on my feet. And made me also appreciate the value of partnership within me and my colleagues. Because we could not come together and solve problems. We had to always be ahead. Plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, up to Z at every point in time. And that is the spirit that we have carried on all through our business because of those experiences.
Thank you very much. You have a deep passion for young ones. I think it's because of the journey that you have had and how far. You're probably one of those people who would say, if I had somebody who could mentor me, I probably would be able to avoid some pitfalls. So what drives this passion? And would it be wrong to say this is how Why Naija was born?
We've always believed that our purpose in life is to be a bridge for young people. And it's interesting that I came across my colleagues and my partners early in life. It's interesting that every one of us had the same mission. Our mission was to make young people heard and seen. That's all we wanted to do. So when I formed my company when I was 16 with Emilia, B&E Initiative, we wanted to be writing columns in the papers. We wanted to be doing TV shows that projected young people. The TV show I did on NT at the time was called Youth Talk. It was about young people. Myself, Titi and Emilia started a show called Patito's Guys, a younger version of Professor Otomi's Patito's Gang. Yeah, so he had Patito's Gang. We formed Patito's Guys because we always believed that we needed young people to own platforms and give voice for young people. We were tired of older people creating platforms for us, but speaking down at us and speaking for us. We wanted to create our platforms with our voice. We created Why Naija because at the time, there was no news platform by young people, for young people, with the voice of young people, with the voice. We wanted the authentic voice of young people. Recently, I was in a group where someone sent in a flyer for a June 12 event and listed very older people, veterans on that platform. And someone said, oh, why are there no young people on this platform? He says, oh, this is for older people. I said, what do you mean? It's about June 12. He said, yes, we can do a youth summit for June 12. She said, no, this is not about young people for youth summit. This is a conversation about Nigeria, its history, and its future. You cannot have these veterans without having the young people who own the future. And the man says, oh, this is about experience. But hear me, oh, hear me. That this is no longer about experience. we're in a season of innovation and evolution. Many people have written 2020 off as the year of survival. They have written 2020 off as a year of crisis. And I say, no, 2020 is the year of destroying, of dismantling stereotypes and traditions that have set us back and held us bondage. 2020 is the year of innovation and progression, the year of diversity and inclusion, the year where we give women their dues, their voice, the year where we stop fighting with our one hand behind us and bring a gender that is equal in capacity and competence to the table in equality. The year where we allow human beings be, everyone be who they want to be. The year where it is a focus on what you bring to the table, the value that you contribute to society as opposed to where you're from. It is the year of collective action, the year where every one of us must do something. Do not just speak. The year that we all, I mean, look around the world. In the middle of coronavirus, when the issue came to its head on racism, collective action was deployed. People went on the streets, putting their lives at risk. And that is what brought us this far. The death of Martin Luther King, the death of Malcolm X, people who sacrificed their lives for a greater good. Rosa Parks, who sat on the bus. And so, for us, we've always believed in empowering a generation. In 2010, when we led the march Enough is Enough to Abuja, the reason why we had young people come with us was because we had spent 5 years doing the Future Awards, curating the brightest and the best young people and letting them know their power. Young people felt powerless before 2000. They felt between 2000 and 2005, they felt powerless and hopeless. They thought the only way to success was through internet fraud. But there were many young people who were hustling, who were starting t-shirt businesses, Home Hypno, Sojo, many young people doing tech, Benga, many young people in agriculture, Mosu. But there was no collective power. There was no strength and sense of self. What we did with the Future Awards was to bring all of these young people together. And the moment they came together, they started igniting one another. They became a catalyst and they sent ripples around the country. And before you could bat an eyelid, we had curated a powerful group of young people that 5 years down the line, when we said it is time to go and face Abuja, they came with us. From Omotala to Stella Damasos.
That at every turnout of the Future Awards on a yearly basis, there was a communique that was collectively being built towards addressing economic issues on a macro level.
When we set up the Future Awards 15 years ago, the plan was that 20 years from the time of setting up the Future Awards, the alumni, associates, and friends of the Future Awards would be the ones controlling the economy and politics of this nation. That was the plan. And so at every point in time, we were guiding them towards that. That's why in the beginning, it was about entrepreneurship. 5 years later, it was about activism. And a couple of years later, I became political consultancy and actually taking over power and election and government. So it's a whole journey, but it's a journey that began from economic liberation.
Okay, so how was it like? Because I understand that you were part of the team for President Buhari election. Before we go into the sales, I just need you to just give us a quick rundown of how that felt like and what was the achievement for you.
The 2015 election was a win for Nigeria. And you know, I feel very sad when people mistell that story and reduce the story to President Muhammadu Buhari. That was bigger than President Muhammadu Buhari. That were a people fighting for their liberation, a people fighting monopoly of government, a people for the first time removed an incumbent in power for the first time since democracy. That was a win for Nigeria. And that was the win that was supposed to be built upon, built upon in 2019. But the story that was now reduced to performance or no performance of President Muhammadu Buhari, we worked for President Goodluck Jonathan in 2011. And in 2015, we worked for President Muhammadu Buhari because for us, it was about Nigeria first. And in 2019, we worked for the newer candidates. We did not work with President Muhammadu Buhari. We did not work with Vice President Atiku Abubakar. We chose to begin to build the pillars that can bring a new generation of young people into office. And so in 2019, we sacrificed the big earnings that were supposed to come in and focus on these younger and newer candidates. Because for us, at every point in time, we're looking for the best candidate. We're looking for the candidate that answers the question. Every election has a question, has a big issue to be answered. And every candidate must be able to connect to that big issue. If we are segueing into sales that you're talking about. So for every election, the candidate must be able to answer the big question, because the big question is what rallies around most of the voters. And in 2015 election, the big question was corruption and security. And President Muhammadu Buhari at the time had a history that
insecurity
that showed that he defeated Metisini. He was hard on insecurity and was also hard, on corruption. And that was what needed to be connected to the current aspirations of the people in 2015. So for every time you're in any marketing, any communication, you must understand the aspirations of the target audience, of the customers, and be able to connect that aspiration to that of your client.
That's some of the things that we learned yesterday, understanding the value proposition of your client so that you can know how to deliver value to that person. So
I think it's actually it's a lot of it's more about understanding the aspirations and desires of the target audience.
Okay.
You must know what the audience wants. The audience must want to buy. If there is no demand, you can't supply. You can't supply your client's value proposition if you do not know what the people want. You must understand what the people want, understand their aspirations, understand the problems they're trying to solve, and then connect that to the value proposition of your client. Be able to present the value proposition of your client as the solution to their problem. But the customer is king in this in marketing.
Yes, I get that it's a connect. That's it. Okay, so when you if we can just go a little bit further, because there was a trajectory during that period for the president as a contestant at that time, the presidential contestant, and at some point there was a total shift in the minds towards him. Was there anything that you did in terms of PR, the team?
I mean, I think that, one of the key things that was a game changer, especially in the Southwest, for the elites and the educated, was the rebranding of President Muhammadu Buhari. For the longest time, people had known him in a certain way. They had seen and perceived him in a certain way. And I remember saying to him, in the beginning of our working with the campaign, that if you really want people to have faith in you, if you tell them this is about change, then you need to change. You need to demonstrate that change first. And the biggest way you can demonstrate that change is to change your outlook. Is to change how you look, how you dress, is to change your tone, is to change your language and engage in the language of the people. Because you must understand that the target audience for that election, both the influencers, the voices, the opinion formers and shapers, the perception formers and shapers, were young people. And if they approved of you, it will send a big spiral effect that will make the nation approve of you. And I know some people have said, oh, the rebranding was mostly for the Southwest. But I remember there was a day when I was in his home in Daria, and I heard that a group of young Northerners wanted to see me. And I wondered why. I walked out and I saw about 200 or thereabout young people who lifted me up. And they carried me and they were excited and they were thanking me. And they had the posters of him wearing the suit. Oh, wow. So he did travel around the country. And even they themselves saw this man in another way, in an aspirational way. I mean, the photos we took were taken, with precision and accuracy for what we wanted each image to communicate. We wanted each image to communicate a certain aspiration to the target audience. And so when we released those photos, it broke the internet. People were shocked. People couldn't believe that, he could look that way. And a number of the speeches that we wrote and videos that we did, where he spoke from the heart, and we were able to put into words the aspirations that he had for Nigeria, because the truth is, your clients will have a value proposition. It is your job as a marketing consultant to now tell the story in the language of the customers, in the language of the citizens. You must take that value proposition. You must go through a process where you merge the value proposition with the aspirations of the people and form a common ground, a bridge where they can both now walk upon and have a handshake. If you're not able to connect it, there will never be a handshake.
Yes. Thank you so much, Adebola. You're making so much sense, and it's really, really sinking in inside of us. So let's take this philosophy, let's take this principle into selling an idea, or selling a product, or selling a service for people. What is the starting point? What are the steps that we need to consider?
I think the first thing is, and the cardinal rule is to understand the target audience once you've understood what your client is selling. So yes, first, you understand your client, what you want to sell. And then next, you understand who the target audience is. You must spend adequate time understanding the people you want to buy. Human beings are emotional animals. You must be able to find an emotional connection that will provoke action, the desired action of your client. So you must be able to tell the stories. You must be able to do the actions, because you see, in this time and season, it is not just about storytelling, it is also about demonstration. The people must see your action as a client that speaks to their heart. And so you must understand what your client is about, what value they bring, and then spend a lot of time understanding what the market wants. Sometimes you even take the value proposition of your client and then with that understanding go and create the demand. With your storytelling, tell the people what they want that they did not know that they wanted. Sometimes the people want to drink Amstel Malta, but you're representing Maltina. You need to find the common ground. Why do they drink Amstel? What do they want from Amstel that Maltina has? Now go and connect and show them how Maltina sells and answers that desire. Or in actual fact, why Maltina might even be more aspirational than Amstel. But your job is to always find the connection point that will provoke your client to action.
You're very big. You're very big on relationship. You're very big on harnessing chemistry between you and your choice, your audience, and I know that that's also a big tool in public relations. How effective is relationship building and harnessing? How effective is it for sales?
Companies don't make decisions. Human beings make decisions. From the gate man to the PA to the receptionist, it's all human relation. Human relations can stop you, and human relations can accelerate whatever it is you're doing. For a salesperson, you must be able to connect emotionally to the person you're selling to. Empathy, understanding, you must listen. They must feel like you see their point, you share their pain, you understand where they're coming from. In actual fact, a good salesperson doesn't sell. He leads the customer or the client to say, you know what, I think I want your service. A good salesperson actually doesn't sell. In my life today, to the glory of God, many of the things that I sell, I do not actually sell. I infer, I lead the conversation, I ask questions, and together we find the answers. And then you say, oh, you know what, can you do that for me? Because I see my service as a major value proposition. And I'm not sure I necessarily need to pitch and grovel. You know, the work we do, when you understand the value of the work you do, you can put your price tag on it. And with the grace of God, we've been able to navigate. And with the grace of God, we've also been able to offer good service. You're as good as your last job. You're as good as your last client. The same thing with being on the backstage. The jobs you're doing now, the people you're working for now, is your advertising to the next job. And so a good salesperson must understand human relation. A good salesperson must be kind, must be patient, must be humble, but at the same time must be confident, must be knowledgeable, must be able to lead a conversation, must be able to listen, to connect, must be able to understand the person they're selling to and find common ground. When I'm going into a meeting, I research the people I'm going to sit with. I speak to them about themselves. I know them. I ask them questions. I find our common grounds. If they like polo and I like polo, I go there. If they went to the same school as I did, I go there. If we share the same passions, I go there. You must find an emotional connection. So you must do all you can to understand your client before going into those meetings. The moment you strike a connection, the decisions are faster.
Yeah.
In some cases, it's not just faster, the decisions are in your favor. Because you know why? People also want to work with people they trust. They want to work with people that they are comfortable with. There is a research that shows that in some companies, people like in the, I think it's in the US Marine or the Navy, they go with competent and trustworthy as opposed to competent and not trustworthy. They go with average competence and trustworthy as opposed to very competent with low trust. People want people that they can trust. People want people that you can connect with. People want people that they know that they truly understand where they are, where they're coming from. And so it's important.
So what do you say to people? Well, people who say that they have a problem, being able to connect with people, because you would ordinarily say,
that.
Adebola is an extrovert.
Adebola
can connect with anybody.
I tell you what, it's a gift from God, first of all, I have to say. But I have to also tell you that I honed this gift. I honed this gift. I honed it. Because you see, there are different languages to get through life. Different languages you need to succeed in life. There is this language that we're speaking now, English, or Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, Ibibio. There is the tech language. For you to navigate on social media, you need to understand technology. But there is also the emotional language. For you to connect to people, for you to open doors for yourself. That little smile to that receptionist can get you through the door to see the CEO faster. That little gift that shows you appreciate the kindness of that receptionist would make you get an appointment faster the next time. Emotional language is one of the most important language you can speak to do anything in life. Why do people become whatever they become and they bring their friends along? People become president and you say, oh, it's a government of him and his friends. People become CEOs and you say, oh, he's giving work to his friends. Emotional connection is very key. If you do not have the tech language, you cannot open Facebook. So for you to accelerate your skills and your values in life, for you not to be kept in receptions, sitting hours upon hours, you better build relationships to accelerate you. For you to be able to get your ideas to the front, because life is a buffet.
Yeah.
It's not a la carte. Everything in life is a buffet. Everybody's struggling to get to the table. For you to get to the table, you need to have relationships. Relationships open doors for you from the security man to the CEO. And you cannot say, I do not know how to build relationships. Because when you were born, you did not know how to speak your language. You did not know how to use the internet, but you learned it. Because you wanted to not just survive, but thrive. Emotional language you must learn. Many times people go into rooms and people cannot even be kind. When we came on the video, I told you, you look beautiful. Did it take anything away from me? No. Did it make you feel affirmed? Did it brighten your evening?
Absolutely.
Did you compliment me in return?
Yes, I did.
Give me a compliment back. That was a quick emotional language there. People walk into rooms and you're holding your face. You can't even tell somebody else, oh, that's a nice shirt. Why? It doesn't take anything away from you.
Thank you so much, Adebola. I wish that this could continue and continue, but I'm also going to be going into another conversation with somebody you know quite well. But I'd like to just finally ask, what sort of platforms do you have for our young ones who are looking into honing their skills, understanding themselves, or discovering what they want to do? This platform is about thinking outside of the box to look at the areas where you can hone a craft and the perspective and the strategy. What sort of platforms do you have that we can push on this platform?
Well, so for us, from the Future Awards, where you can find stories of great young people doing amazing things to inspire you, because I think that a big part of the problem in our society is helplessness and hopelessness. And the more young people have access to stories of people who've done great like them, the more they are able to be inspired to want to do more. And so I advise that everyone listening to me to plug into the Future Awards Africa. And learn the stories of many what are young people doing on the continent? How are they solving problems? How are they innovating, inventing, creating? You see, if the internet is not making money from you, it's taking money from you. How do you move from a consumer to a creator? How do you move from a marketing statistics, from a marketing data to a manufacturer and creator of value, where you begin to make money from the internet? You need to learn the stories. You need to hear about other people. You need to get knowledge. Knowledge is the GPS to navigate in the maze of life. Knowledge is the GPS to navigate in the maze of life. And every time you gain knowledge, there are two things that happen. One, you either see the paths that others have taken and be courageous enough to follow those paths. Because if you do not know what the people before you or your peers are doing, you might be comfortable where you are. If the hawk does not see the eagle flying, he might not aspire to go higher. The reason why the chicken wants to fly is because he has seen the hawk flying. So he too wants to fly. And so you must hear the stories of greater people. And it will be a light on your path to either go on their trail and be like them, or even go further from where they stopped. Or knowledge will be a light for you to create your own path. So seek knowledge. Seek information about where the world is going. Don't just sit down and say, oh, it's a year of corona and all we want to do is survive. No, find out, where is the world going? Where is the world going? What can I create? What is the future? Go and research. Pray to God. Ask God for knowledge. I always ask God, what am I supposed to be doing in this season? What am I supposed to be saying? So that's the first thing. Go on our platforms. We have many stories. WineNiger.com, Rubbing Minds on Channels with Ebuka, with Chude, the show my partner just started with Chude, where people come and share their most darkest moments, how they came out of caves to succeed with Chude. It shows on TVC at 9 p.m. every Saturday and on Ebony Live TV on Thursdays. Watch with Chude. Watch Rubbing Minds on Channels. Go on WineNiger.com. We've spent our lives creating all those platforms to give information to young people that can help them be their best selves, that can help them be, powerful. There is nothing more powerful than an inspired and empowered human being. And that's what we use our platforms to do, to empower and inspire young people so that they can be limitless in everything they do. And for me personally, my platforms, Adebola Lagos on Instagram, on Twitter. The reason why I accept these invitations to speak on these platforms is because I want to reach out to all of those, my friends on social media, and everyone that needs to hear these things. That's why I accept. These conversations are draining. They are draining. Sometimes they are painful. You have to, do them over and over again. It's like pastors when they preach. Sometimes when I finish in a day, virtue would have left me. So when people pray for pastors, I understand, why they have to do that. Because by the time you finish sometime, we were supposed to do this yesterday. And I told you, can we do it today? Because I had done one yesterday. I had done a couple of things. I was just exhausted. And I just needed to, if we had done it yesterday, and I've been my best self still on camera, but when I leave, I will feel the pains. So my sacrifice and my giving back. Many times I also promote businesses on my page, promote young entrepreneurs on my page. And I also try to share a lot of inspirational stories, validation stories, stories that help people know that they are powerless. There is nothing worse than a people that feel that their power has been taken from them. And that's how people feel in politics in Nigeria. And that's how people don't come out to vote. Because people feel like their power has been taken. People feel like their votes will not count. It's a lie. It's a lie of the devil told by politicians. It's a myth. If you come out in droves, they cannot steal the election from you. The only reason why they can steal is because the lines are blurred. The differences are so little, they can manipulate it. But if there's an overwhelming vote for a candidate, they cannot turn this result. And you must be ready to put your skin in the game. You must go out there and stay at those polling booths. That's why for us, our first job is to empower and enlighten people. Even though we work with politicians, we're not afraid of the people questioning the campaigns that we run. Our job is to be able to answer their questions and convince them on why they should go the route that we are going to. We're never afraid to do the work. And people need to stop being afraid. The citizens must stop being afraid of doing the work. The citizens must become a responsible follower. I find that many times the followers can be irresponsible sometimes. They can just hands off. The last time they said, oh, Fela, okay, we want young people. Fela came out. King Simon Gado came out. Dr. B.S. came out. And the young people said, they are too young, they are incompetent, they are this, they are that. I worked for those young people in the last election. I left the gains of the big box from the establishment and I worked for those people to begin to build pillars of the future. But you find the followers ostracizing, castigating. They will say, oh, they don't have grassroots. Oh, whose grassroots are you, by the way? You say, Fernand doesn't have grassroots. Dr. B, no grassroots. King Simon Gado, professor, no grassroots. Whose grassroots are you? You are somebody's grassroots. In Lagos, 4.something million people took their voters card and did not vote. Whose grassroots are those people? Many of those people, at least 2 million of them, are like you and I, who just chose not to come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the elites must also wake up. The followers must stop it. Martin Luther King was not perfect. Adebola was not perfect. Ojukwu was not perfect. Malcolm was not perfect. But these people are still revered and thanked for their contribution. They made mistakes. Their followers stuck with them. Followers, find someone to follow, stick with them, sacrifice with them. Stop being a fair weather follower, pointing fingers, complaining. You've got to pitch your tent somewhere. Find someone you believe in. Find someone you share the values with, and stay with the person. When they got on the Selma Bridge the first time, the second time, when they went on Selma Bridge, the second time Martin Luther King joined them, they got to the bridge, the policemen stood back, and Martin refused to lead them into that state. The people were livid. How could you do that? How could you not take us in? We had finally gotten there. Some people left. They were angry. Many stayed. They were defending him. He knows what he's doing. Let's stay there. Did they go eventually? And when they went and it was a huge success. You've got to stay with people you believe in. Don't be quick to nail him. Sometimes the followers look like they want to hail you today so that they can nail you today. Don't be quick. Research, understand, ask questions, be patient. Even the leader is not perfect. The leader can make mistakes. Yeah. These days, I'm not afraid. When people ask me questions and I say, I don't know, I'm not afraid anymore. I don't know. Can we figure it out together?
Yeah.
That's leadership.
Thank you so much, Adebola. You know, you've made so many strong, poignant points. I'm looking into just fleshing them out and sending them out on our platform for people to be able to understand and be able to take their cues from it. I wish we could go on, but this is just as much as we can take.
No problem.
I really want to thank you for sharing and for sacrificing another time like this to share. I'm quite certain that quite a number of people have picked up because they are reiterating what you're saying, even on the timeline.
Great, I see my auntie Tosi Adefeko, I see Dara Israel, Dr. Lagos, all of you, thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining.
TJ Dots, that's my mentee.
One person that is taking something here, it is a lot.
My mentee is here, TJ Dots. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday again,
oh,
TJ.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. There are quite a number of people
yes. And they're asking you not to forget to save it on IGTV.
Yes, I will. I will save it. I usually do. And you can go back to listen to this great nuggets that have been shared right now. But thank
Adepegi,
you so much.
Oseni, BC,
Thank you,
Ariola,
Adepegi.
Adeze, thank you, Dolly
Yeah.
P, thank you all
Thank
for
you
coming.
so much for coming. This is the best. This is who you are. I've never had to go through this route, but this is just exactly another exemplary activity that you have helped me to pick up, and I will continue with it. Thank you for teaching me this. To connect with the audience and to be able to appreciate them. Thank you so much, Adebola Wiliiams. God continue to bless you. God continue to uphold you.
Amen.
I see that you walk in line with the word of God. And so that light will never go dim in your life in Jesus' name. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful week and take care now. Stay safe and be healthy. Bye-bye now. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for making time out. It's really, really informative and educative. We have one more person at 8 p.m. Instagram is going to go off because it's a 1-hour provision, but we're having Steve Babaeko looking at sales from another angle as well. So hope you can make it. We'll look out and look forward to seeing you all again. Adepegi, I clap for you. Thank you so much. Lazy Kofa, you're really, really, really interactive and passionate. I see your passion. Thank you. I hope to see you for the next session. Have a good evening. See you soon. Bye-bye now.